Morning, I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, I thought you were going to go do something.
No,
Okay.
I was going to leave.
Oh, hey, okay. We'll all leave. All three commissioners are here today, and I'd like to thank you for attending. I see at least one of our new commissioners from the city. Is the other one here? Another new commissioner? Michael, is Mike here? Not here. Okay, that's all right. Public comment. Anybody have any public comment?
Hi, my name is Karen Sherrill, 25206 Duncan Drive, Tonganoxie, Kansas. And I came before you guys a couple weeks ago to discuss the subdivision and planning regulations as they relate to kennels, and ask that the commission review that language as it applies to households and not registered kennels. And I might be a little premature because my court date is not till tomorrow, but as yet I haven't heard anything, and I thought you guys committed to getting back with me, or Mr. Van Perry's, before my court date tomorrow. But I just want to add, just a couple little things. I think the regulations, when they were written in 2006, did not intend to regulate the number of pets that you could have in your household. In 2006, I think it was purely to regulate commercial kennels. I think if you look at the Leavenworth County website and you look at the kennels that are listed in there, they're commercial facilities: Camp Canine Kennel, Country View Kennel, Deb's Riverview Kennels, Bad Cats Dog Boarding, Happy Trails Kennel, Khaki Hound and Camo Kitty, Paws for Freedom, and Roverwood Ranch. And that is what is listed under kennels, and they are all commercial facilities, not one household. I have asked the planning and zoning, or the compliance officer, to provide me with a list of households that have been issued a special use permit just based solely on the number of pets they have, and again, I have not received any response from the compliance office. So I just come to you again and ask you as the commissioners to review the kennel language. I do think it is implicit and ambiguous, that it does not apply to households. I totally respect your right to revise those regulations if you do want to regulate the number of pets that you can have just as a regular household. But until that's done, I just think that this complaint against me is without merit. I'm more than happy to attend my court date tomorrow to plead my case. But I am, once more, this just doesn't apply to me. It applies to every resident in Leavenworth County in the rural areas that do own more than 4 dogs for hunting, for farming activities, for herding cattle, sheep, and livestock. So with that, I'm just, once again, asking for you guys to look at that. And if I have to come every week and start a, no Tyson and Tongi movement, I'm willing to do that. But I do think that, it's something that needs to be clarified to make it unambiguous and to make it explicit if that is your intent to regulate the number of household pets you can have.
Thank you. Mark, did you copy that? Write it down and get it to Jeff and David.
I've looked this over and
First, we did provide the Board of County Commissioners with a update from Planning and Zoning that explained this specific case, give you the language of the current code. We do believe it is specific and the language is clear. It does apply. As stated previously, it is these are complaint driven. So if somebody did file a complaint about the number of dogs in this specific case, if you would remove the language or to make the change I believe that's being suggested, it would allow unlimited dogs throughout the county. It is specific to dogs, by the way, not other household pets, but it would, when you have a 2.5 acre lot and you're in a subdivision, that's what this was specifically written for back in 2016. So anyways, there is a court case tomorrow, and I think it would be best if we allowed them to follow due process, go to court.
Sounds good.
Mr. Chairman, if I may ask, Mark, so if you have more than 2.5 acres, this doesn't apply?
No, it applies to all
Applies to
parcels,
everybody.
But you can come in and get a special use permit. So if somebody has a 20-acre plot and they have 5 dogs, maybe that's more reasonable than a 2.5-acre plot with 10. So it's just again, this is it's got to stay in court.
10 dogs.
6 on a 2.5 acre subdivision. And it's complaint driven. This is not something where our staff is driving around looking for issues. It is something that when somebody has a problem, they call in, the staff looks into it.
Okay.
And they try to work with the people to get a special use permit.
Ma'am, hang on.
There is a process,
Right.
and to my knowledge, there has still not been an application for a special use permit in this case. So it does have a state
well, I would just wanted to remind her, but if has she applied for a special use permit?
To my knowledge, last I spoke, and that was last week, I had not seen it.
This would clear up the whole process, I think, if she applied for a special use permit.
Well, you're assuming that one would be awarded,
Right.
yes. But that's not, obviously that is not for us to decide today, but there's tomorrow in court. This may all be resolved.
Right. Well, we received a comment, and well, we'll let staff go ahead and
Well, since it's been brought to our attention, I've been kind of watching, looking around, and I've seen several residents that have more than 4
I have too.
dogs. And I'm thinking, as an elected official, am I a mandatory reporter to report these people? I don't think so.
I don't report.
The dogs looked well. Everybody's dogs looked well. It wasn't dogs neglected or anything, and I'm thinking,
I'm with you.
my hat's off to them. They're taking care of animals. They're being kept.
My favorite dog person in town always told me, I won't hear the dogs where they're at. And that's true. No, we hear the dogs in town at the housekeeping facility there in behind Price Chopper. We hear the dogs, but there's nobody around to complain, and that's probably the big problem. So we'll let staff, we'll let the process go through, and we'll see where that goes.
I might add that I'd like to see more emphasis put on abused animals than animals that are taken care of.
Agreed.
Okay, administrative business.
We do have a policy update for our health plan that we need to have approved today. This is the change that the board voted on to move from 10 years for retired employees to be able to participate down to 5 years. This is just a plan update. There's no additional cost to the county. It's just required to approve this plan.
Okay.
Clerk has
Yes, this is through MetLife, and this just coincides with the motion that you had made. I think Bob had made the motion
Right.
to go from 10 years to 5 years. So I don't really know that it needs a motion. It just needs the signature by the chairman for this change to MetLife.
Anytime I would like a motion.
Yeah.
Just since we're getting
We'll give you a motion.
A motion to approve the change in the MetLife process.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and approved for the change in the MetLife with the chairman to sign. How do you vote?
Aye.
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 Very good.
Excuse me, but none of us can hear what you guys are talking about. It seems like this conversation is pertinent to why most of we are
Are them,
here.
can you hear out of them speakers there?
Barely.
There was
Okay.
discussion about the dog thing there, and most of us didn't hear what was said.
Okay, can get them.
Can you?
Yeah,
map that
she's
for us, please?
contacting somebody right now.
And appreciate you.
Thanks for bringing it to our attention.
I hear, see everybody straining to hear, and, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not good. Thank you. Well, we can either talk up, or we can hold off a few minutes, your choice, because it'll take him a while to get up here, and it's just, we're finishing up administrative business. Is there anything else?
There's no other administrative business.
Mr. Chairman, I might add, if we've got a few minutes, I attended the Linwood Elementary chili supper that was a fundraiser for playground equipment, stuff like that. And it was a big turnout, packed out, very impressive turnout.
Very good.
So,
Approval of the minutes from January the 23rd.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from January 23rd, session 1.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Can you now hear us? Thank you. How do you vote?
Aye.
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 Guess we could do that on the whole consent agenda, couldn't we? So we'll bypass that. The only thing I have is under the check register, on page 2, wireless headsets, number 2 item. What is that? I guess it's a number 3 item. Can somebody explain that?
Say it's on page 2.
Page 2, yes. $108.
Wireless headsets to communication headsets.
Yeah.
For dispatch.
Okay, not for us.
No.
No, because we had the one, you know, that we were experimenting with. So, okay. I'll move for a motion to, I don't want to move for it. I'll ask for a consent agenda motion.
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda as is.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. How you vote?
Aye.
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 Okay, the next item is approve case number DEV-17-137/138, consideration for preliminary and final plat for Miss Corner.
That was on the consent agenda.
Oh, that's on the consent agenda.
Because 8-0 doesn't require public hearings.
Thank you, appreciate that.
I was wondering why it was there.
Yep.
That speeds things up.
Because it's on the consent agenda.
So the next item would be the MOU.
Yes.
between the Guidance Center and the Development Agency.
Lucas.
All right. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
All right, this is just a simple MOU between the Guidance Center and myself. We are acting as grantor of funds from KDOC. Kansas Department of Corrections, sorry. And pretty much they're going to provide us services for court-involved youth, and we're going to provide oversight for that program.
It's kind of,
Mr. Chairman, members of this commission, good morning. I've been in contact with Mr. Schmalbeck. This memorandum of understanding provides for the use of Kansas Department of Corrections funds through the county to the Guidance Center to provide for certain counseling and program services to JDC. I've reviewed the agreement, and I believe it's appropriate.
Thank you. Any of the commissioners have any thoughts?
no,
Need a
same.
motion to approve the MOU?
I'll take a motion, then I want to say something, but go ahead and do the motion.
That just it.
Okay.
Second.
Now, under
With
discussion.
discussion.
Under discussion, thank you. I notice they're going to give us an allotment of $160,020. Excuse me, $116,020.
116,000, correct.
Well, we would have taken 160. But when it got into funding oversight, who's monitoring that? Make sure that, other than the clerk, is somebody monitoring?
Yeah, that'll be myself or the administrative contact in the future for how long this program lasts. There are, purchasing and spending rules that Kansas Department of Correction makes us abide by. And, we're familiar with all those, so we're going to be making sure that that happens through quarterly reports with the Guidance Center.
I did like there was a termination policy in there. The county may terminate this agreement upon termination of KDOT funding, and that's good.
Correct.
They start these things, and we're supposed to pick them up.
Correct, and it's very clear in there that the county will not pick this up if it is terminated.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Unless they make it a state mandate.
Yeah.
That's probably what'll happen.
Yeah.
It's been moved and seconded. How do you vote, Doug?
Aye.
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 Okay, the next item requires a public hearing. And this is Leavenworth County request for board action, case number DEB-17-119, special use permit, love the dog name, Doodlebug Blessings Dog Kennel. And Jeff, Crystal giving the presentation. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. This is case number DEV 17-119. This is a special use permit request for a dog kennel to be known as Doodlebug Blessings. Doodlebug Blessings Dog Kennel operates at 15232 Stone Ridge Drive in the unincorporated areas of the county. You can see from the map there in front of you that this piece of land is located within a subdivision. That's a subdivision road, and all but I believe one of those lots, actually all of those lots have been built out. The applicants began operating the business without the necessary special use permit because they were unaware a permit was required. They're proposing a kennel with up to 10 permanent dogs. The applicants indicate they will have no more than 2 litters of puppies each year. The business does not employ anyone other than the property owners. Since the applicants have made their original request, they have made some modifications. They have attempted to rehome some of the dogs. I'll let the applicants speak a little bit more about that. However, they're still over the allowed 3 dogs without a special use permit. 4 kicks you over where you need a special use permit, as we were just speaking about earlier. Like I said, they indicate that they would have 2 litters of puppies each year. The puppies are sold. They don't anticipate having people come to the property. They take the puppies where they need to go. They say if anybody were to come to the property, it would be a pretty rare occurrence. However, due to the location of the property within a fully developed subdivision and the proximity of neighbors, staff recommended denial of the special use permit. And then the Planning Commission also recommended denial with a vote of 8-0, again, to recommend denial of the special use permit. I'll answer any questions that you may have, and the applicants will answer any questions that you may have also. This is a public hearing item, so public hearing is required.
You want to listen to the public first?
I do.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If anybody wants to speak in favor of the dog kennel being put in, would you please come forward and give your name, address, and state your comments, please. Anybody? Oh, well, there's nobody in favor. Everybody else must be against. So, but I'll ask, is anybody against it? And if you're against it, that's right.
Good morning, gentlemen. Rex Mawson, 15198 Stone Ridge Drive. First of all, before I start, we have went through planning and zoning and went through the things. This hearing this morning, everyone on there's 14 houses that is on this cul-de-sac, and everyone is against it. A number couldn't be here this morning because they have to work. If you so desire, they all wanted to sign that piece of paper and sign their name and their address to it. If you all would want that, if that's of a help, I'll be glad to. I've got 3 copies for you to look at if you so desire, and keep it if you want that. Is that necessary?
It's not necessary for me, sir.
All right.
I'll ask the other two.
As far as just bringing you, I assume that you've had, I'll just assume this if you say nothing, that you've had the package and you have read and heard everything that went on in the last meeting. All I'm here to say is, and there's other people here could talk the same, the community is a quiet community, nice homes, and I happen to live right next door. Their breeding pen and exercise and poop pen is 30 feet from my front yard, 40 feet from my backyard, and 40 feet from the edge of the street. And everyone on the block, in essence, we've all got reasons, including me, but the main things that to consider is valuation, what it's doing will do to our properties, the noise level that is tremendous. Even clear half a mile up, there's a fellow that has even come down to check. The smell of the whole situation. I think that you probably as homeowners would not want something like this in your back door. We have people that come and even use our street as a walk place that have quit. They come and exercise. They'll come and just walk because it's so quiet a place. And so I guess I thank you for your time, and I hope that you can maybe see what we're all up against. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Anybody else want to comment against?
Carl Young, 15319 Stone Ridge Drive. Well, they've got that metal building right there on the property, a big metal building. Right on the west end of it, they got a dog pen in there and a private fence around it. And that slopes into a low place right there, and that low place runs right into my pond. And when it rains real hard, a lot of water comes down through there, and there's going to be a lot of dog waste come right down through that low place right down into my pond. And even if they scoop up the solid stuff, they're still going to have stuff in the floor from waste from the dogs, and they're going to be washing it down, and it's going to be washed into that low place there. And it's still, when you get a hard rain, it's going to wash right down into my pond. And when you go outside, the dogs are barking. And then well, my wife and daughter used to walk up and down the road there, and they quit walking up and down the road to try to keep the dogs from barking, disturbing everybody. And we don't need a business up in that area in a housing development. And anyway, you appreciate the property, and if you ever take a notion to sell a place, there ain't nobody going to want to buy a house up in there in the middle of a bunch of dogs barking. So that's what I've got to say.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? I will close the public hearing.
Yeah, the gentleman stood
Oh,
up.
excuse me. Yes. I'm going to save you the walk, but that's all right. Walking is good.
Fred Haynes, I live at 15308 Stone Ridge. I'm the property owner on the west side. You can't even walk from the house to my outbuilding without having those animals. They hear, even though they put up a fence so that you can't quite see them right now, and they can't see me, but they can still hear us shuffling around out there, and it'll set them off like crazy. Yesterday, a police or ambulance or something went down 155th Street, and it was interesting to sit there and listen. At my place, the dogs were louder than the siren. So, no, I'm not in favor of continuing that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. One more call. Anybody else? Then I'll close the public hearing. Do the commissioners have anything they want to say?
You ready for a motion?
Ready for a motion?
I move that we follow the planning and zoning, or the planning commission's recommendation to deny.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to deny the petition. And how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thought it was interesting. Mayor Bloomberg, who is not the mayor of New York now, he was talking about the size of the cities, and everybody's moving to the cities. And by the year, what was it, 2039 or some 2030, I guess it was, that people will not be living out in the rural area. But Livermore County, if you've noticed, has really talked about how nice it is to have their quietness, and you've read it in everybody's report saying it is nice to have peace and quiet. So we probably shouldn't listen to Mayor Bloomberg, but he was talking about how great it was to move to the city of New York, Paris, Tokyo. I hate to bring him in.
And it might be
Yeah.
that way in New York, but it's not here.
So, okay, board will adjourn session 1. Can I have a motion to do that?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn session 1.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn session 1. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Now we'll open and convene session 2. The first item on session 2 is presentations and discussion items. Present all materials of general concern where no action or vote is requested or anticipated. The first is the Livermore County Port Authority.
This item was added for discussion at the request of the board. I think maybe as you read the newspaper, you might get maybe a misrepresentation of what the actual discussion was intended for. And the information has been provided, a lot of documentation about how the Port Authority was formed, when it was formed, what the intent was, funding from the beginning of the Port Authority. And that's really what started the discussion on it, was the funding. And we agreed and budgeted for funding in 2018. First part of January, they came in and that was affirmed that we actually amended what was budgeted to give to them. So that was not what was in question. What was in question is if the county was funding the Port Authority fully, which we have been for several years, then who appoints the members to the Port Authority, which there have to be 2 openings. And the commission at that time, the Board of County Commissioners, directed me to inform the city that if they were not willing to participate in funding, that the board here thought that it should be for them to appoint members to the Port Authority. So that was the discussion, and that's why you asked to have it added to an agenda for further discussion. And we've invited the cities here. And one of the things that has happened over the last year at least, previously appointments were made either by the city or the county, and according to the agreement, we have to then, either party has to agree to it. So both parties have to agree to it. The county commission at the beginning of this year, when the 2 openings were discussed, said that it was important to make sure that we had representation from throughout the county on the Port Authority. And I think that's really what kicked all this off. So I think the conversation probably needs to be, and the board obviously has some ideas here, but the agreement that formed the Port Authority 50 plus years ago probably needs to be updated. We probably need to be clear on who funds what, who appoints what, and so on. So that's just me kicking this off, and I know that the commissioners had some ideas too, so I'll stop talking.
I noticed that there was a comment in the paper that said, why is this coming up at this time? Well, when you get a sheet of paper that says we in the county have paid $3-point-something million and the city has paid $15,000, somewhere you say, there's something wrong with this, I think. Now, I don't really know, but it was started with all entities going to belong to it, and a thought process, and there's numerous places, if you've read the history of all this, and how it has gone along, we're not looking for blame. We're looking for correction. How do you correct this? You correct it by those that are involved participating. Now, three entities are to blame. The county for not monitoring. The Port Authority for saying, we'll just come to Sugar Daddy, when they should have been going to all the entities. Now, was it done on a proportion? No, don't have the slightest idea. And the city. Now, I don't think the city said, hey, we're getting by here. Let's just let the county pay for it. I don't think that was part of the conversation that took place. But we're trying to clear up that process. If we are the payers, then we deserve to do the appointing. Nobody else needs to be a participant unless we figure we're not strong enough to be able to come up with it. And then we can go ask Easton, Baser to come up with an appointment. So it isn't to necessarily get rid of the Port Authority, although I did have written down here, do we need the Port Authority? In the old days, the county commission business would come in and would dissertate all their private documents, and hopefully nobody went out of that meeting explaining and telling what that company's business was. So if you read what the Port Authority is supposed to do, and I just wonder, have they done that? And that's what the meeting is about. Should we continue to finance without total responsibility? It's a very simple question. I don't think any bank in the community would say, well, they've kicked out $3 million. I don't know why they're questioning it, okay? So, I don't know if you have anything you want to say, Bob. We just can't go through, you know, you can get a copy of the sheet from 1969 to 2017 of the two, I guess we'll call them gifts, where we gave $3,122,543, dollars on the bottom of that, and the City of Leavenworth gave $15,974. The math there cannot be resolved, and we're not trying to resolve the math. We're trying to resolve the question of, should we run the Port Authority? Should we be a part of the Port Authority? Is the Port Authority performing as it says? And the Port Authority board knows what the responsibilities are, and it was just a massive material to read through to come up with an answer. So, Bob, do you have anything you want to?
I do. I would say that this the Port Authority's document is antiquated. It needs to be brought up to date. I don't think that we can continue on like we're doing. I think all the cities within our county need to be a part of the Port Authority. I think most of them get a benefit from the Port Authority, which in fact is the county funding it. I think another thing is I would like to sit down with the cities and the Port Authority and have a conversation, not get it blown out of proportion, but to get this resolved so that it kind of maybe the county still will pay the majority, but at least, we can't ask Linwood, we can't ask Easton to pay the share that we pay.
No.
But we can ask the City of Leavenworth, Lansing, Baser. We can ask them for a share, a partial. It won't, still probably won't be what we'll have to pay. But I think we need to have the discussion. I don't think we need to threaten them, if that's appropriate word, probably isn't, but that we're going to pull all of our funding. Well, I don't, you know, I don't think that would be the way to start the meeting out with. I would rather see us start the meeting out with, you know, use like our the number of people that is in the county, the number of people that is in the city of Basehor, the city of Lansing, the city of Leavenworth, you know, start out like that and come up with a figure. And the Port Authority is going to be a big portion of this because they're going to have to tell us what they think they need. And if I'm not mistaken, Janet, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but didn't we pass a mill levy for the Port Authority?
We have a economic development mill levy that we fund LCDC and the Port Authority to their budget request that they turn in each year. But yes, we have a Pacific mill levy.
Okay.
For economic development. There was a question for the voters for the Port Authority, and it failed. I think I provided that information.
That was 2 mills
But
on here.
the economic development mill levy is still there, and that is
right.
fund the LCDC.
And how much is that mill levy?
Well, it generates roughly $280,000.
It's about 0.5.
0.5, okay.
Chairman, what year was that put to the ballot on the
I
2
think
mills?
1969.
Oh, it was, but then, wow, 2 mills wouldn't have been
Well, it
very
was when
much.
Don Aaron.
Yeah. Well, he was here 3 times, I think.
Yeah, he sure was.
Boy, now it'd be over $1 million.
Yep,
So,
that's true. But I don't think there was any threat, you know, and we can get so politically correct, you know. Leavenworth, do you want to participate? We would like for you to give $102,000, half of the budget. And the thing we could do is not give the Port Authority the 205,000 and let you submit the other to the city of Leavenworth. So, you know, there's many things you can do.
Right, and that's why I say we need to sit down as a group and discuss this. And Lansing, Basehor, they could give maybe not as 102, but maybe they could give a portion.
They gave a figure in, you know, and I don't want to go back and read everything that's in here. Because I have, and
I have too.
Everybody should have read it.
Yeah.
And not come forward like one gentleman made a statement in one of the cities, my God, 50 pages? And you expect me to read that? So, you know, it's this is a very important decision, but it came out somewhere in one of the pieces of paper. It said $2 per individual. $2 per individual. So, you know, the city of Leavenworth, that wouldn't be fair to the city of Leavenworth, right?
No.
No. They have on it, let's say 35,000 people, so 35,000 times 2. Lansing is probably next. Basehor is no Tonganoxie, then Basehor, then Wood, and then Easton comes in. I don't know what Easton has now, but let's say 300 people, so 300 times $2, that would be their portion. I don't know if they could even, you know, run the city and come up with that much money for economic development. So there is a formula that's out there. Good or bad, I don't know. But I think all the entities need to be participating. And I think all the entities know what our desire is. And they can come forth, I think, without us getting together and discussing and discussing back and forth and over what is the share. Do we want economic development? And if the cities don't want to participate, and we think we ought to participate, then we fund it and we appoint the members. It's very simple. So, Blaine, why don't we hear what your, I know you're just bated and wanting to comment.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for having us up here today. I think we can keep this very simple. I don't know that this is the forum to answer all of the questions that you have. I don't disagree that there are questions. I came to this chamber on the 28th of December and really thought we had a really good plan going forward. Maintain the 2018 funding. The takeaways were, look, you don't like the way it's funded right now, and I committed to you that we would work with the cities to try and find a way to figure this out. So I would request that put your concerns in writing. We'll form a group to study this, and come 2019 budget time, whenever that does start, hopefully we'll have some ideas on how we move forward. You know, we're on the brink of opening 2 new industrial parks, one in Tonganoxie, one in Leavenworth. We're on the brink of studying a program that could perhaps enhance or create some spec buildings in these industrial parks, not just Leavenworth and Lansing, but others as well. So there's a lot of good things going on. And I think that right now, you know, we don't need a lot of facts and figures. Mr. Chairman, I can't justify your return on investment on your $3.2 million, but I will say that there's been a lot of work done in the last 49 years. Probably close to $30 million in property values, 1,100 jobs, so somebody's been doing something. I'm not saying that it's don't broke, don't fix it, but let's just sit down and figure out the best way forward that makes everybody happy. I request that you fill our remaining 2 seats so that we can have our full 5-member board, and we'll put all efforts towards trying to resolve any concerns that you have, and I guarantee you we'll come out on the other side better than we are today.
One thing I would like to, I am for your proposal, but what I guess what I don't agree with you there is I don't want to wait till budget season's here and then we start working on this. I want this done ahead of time so we know what we've got to deal with and so we know how to budget it.
We've got a meeting on Wednesday, and we will certainly make that a topic of discussion. I've spoke with most, if not all, the city representatives. I think they're in agreement that they would like to sit down and talk about that, so I imagine we will have a discussion about that on Wednesday.
Mr. Chairman, what do you think about having a work session on this?
Well, I think it's Port Authority that needs to have the work session.
Okay.
And that's what they're proposing.
That's what they're proposing. I don't think that we need to be a participant. I think we know what we want. Anybody that's going to be a participant, which is it that Baser dropped out of?
LCDC.
LCDC, okay. So I don't think that we need to be a participant. You know what my thoughts are. Everybody has an equal participation. It's simple. Or we take it over. We didn't say we're going to let it go. We said we take it over. Do we need the other entities? We haven't needed them for 50 years. So why all of a sudden are we needing them if they don't want to participate? It's so simple. They sit down with their board at a study session. Do we want to give what Port Authority has come up with, and I'm just going to say $2,000, $2 a person or $1 a person, which figure you come up with, do we want to give that amount or do we not want to give that amount? That's simple. And that's simple for you to resolve, and you come to us and you say A wants to, B doesn't, That doesn't mean, I don't think Leavenworth County has ever ignored anybody when it comes to participation. I mean, we gave $5 million to Leavenworth for the industrial park. And I guess Leavenworth came up with their $5 million. They went out and did a bond, I think, to get the money for that, and that's good. We gave $5 million to Tonganoxie. So, you know, we won't get into the roads. And so, you know, I think it's something that needs to be resolved. Do they want to be a participant or not? And it needs to come through you. And this is what we've come up with. And we can say, well, they don't want to participate, so we're going to stay with it. Or they do want to participate, and we'll go along with those plans. To me, that's simple. Constantly being worried about being, I don't know what it is, politically correct what? Everybody wants to talk and talk and talk and talk is cheap. Come up with your answer. Do you want to be a participant? It's simple. And I think I don't have a problem with staying with the 205. And that was not a demand for a share of that. Anybody not understand that? That was not a demand. There's where we got to get being a little more politically correct. A consensus. If we need a resolution on everything, we can do a resolution on everything, but we don't need a resolution. So, unless somebody else wants to not do it, I'll take a motion to stay with how we're doing it, and you come forward with a resolve, and don't come forward with a resolve, in my opinion, of saying we're going to carry the blunt share. You know, I've asked for the cities to be talked to about controlling that 2 mile. Let's get involved, cities. You want to control? Fine. But we have things that we have to protect. In case you don't know it, sheriff doesn't fall under us in any way. The clerk doesn't. They can do whatever they want budget-wise. Register of Deeds and the treasurer. So we're losing, the county is losing control of what we can do budget-wise for the taxpayer. So I would say I'll take a motion rather than keep talking about it, because I think we have one more subject matter.
All right. Make a motion to table this issue until after the Port Authority has a work session and brings back something.
Okay.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to table this till the Port Authority comes back with a solution after their meeting, hopefully. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
One question, will we move forward with the appointments, or are we holding those up as well? Because I don't think this is going to happen overnight. It's going to take a little bit of
I
time.
think we need to move forward with the appointments.
I think that can be done at put it at our next meeting. You know,
Okay.
I think there are what, four people?
There are two positions that are open.
Yeah, but there's 4 people that have said they would like it.
The city of Tonganoxie, the city of Pacer both provided us with a recommendation for our consideration. There was one person who applied at large.
Right.
So that's where we're
And
at.
then we have one that,
You had one, but I thought they had withdrew their name. But that's what you
that one has withdrew their name, but there is one from.
The city.
City, Bob Hatswell.
He's up for renewal.
Renewal.
Yeah, he's currently on the board.
So, and then obviously, what started the conversation is who's appointing
Right.
positions? Is Mr. Patswell's position the city's position to reappoint? Is it the county's position to reappoint?
Actually, we both have to be
We
in
both have to be
position.
individual. Typically, what has happened is one entity would make a recommendation, and then it just kind of alternated. So that's what kicked off the conversation. So is it your intent that those 4 people, from those 4, you will select one, and then the city of Leavenworth selects one, which we would then approve, the county would approve, or that's what needs to be resolved? That's really
Well, for $102,000, I'll let the city appoint one, okay? I don't know if they want to do that.
And that's what started the
Right.
conversation.
And so I think that the county will be responsible, since they're the financier, and if the city wants to take us to court over it, because the contract says they are equal, but that's up for you to resolve, okay? Come back with a resolve. I don't want to...
So then, our next meeting, I will provide the 4 people.
Thank you.
That you have. You can nominate 2 of those, and we can send them to the city, and then it'll be up to the city on whether they want to approve. those
Right.
or not.
Is there anybody in the audience who wants to have a comment on this? Do we not like the fact that the Port Authority will come forward with how to resolve this situation? And we can always, you know, shut it down and start up another Port Authority on our own, so.
I got a statement about that. I'd like to see something published in the paper or social media telling the average taxpayer, what does the Port Authority even do? Because unless you're a businessman in this town, or a city leader, you probably don't even know what the Port Authority does or what they even, how they got formed, who makes it up.
Right.
You just think these people volunteer to be on the committee and they're called the Port Authority.
Right.
What do they actually do for the taxpayer?
Let him read that packet.
50 pages up there.
Well, I mean, I get it.
I'm gonna give you the 50 page.
We'll give you the 50-page packet.
Yes. Anybody else? Okay, why don't we go on to the next agenda item?
Is Blaine through?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Blaine.
Now, is the clerk staying for the next one?
No, I'm staying. I just need a minute break. Can I have a minute break?
2. You're losing the crowd, Chairman. You're gonna have to start doing better.
No, okay. City people there.
I know.
Want to talk about
Yeah. Just don't like to have to preach to an empty church.
Well, they have no interest in Eisenhower Road. Finances.
With my luck, this will just loosen everything up and then I'll go into a coughing fit.
Okay, we'll continue with session 2, which is number B, Eisenhower Road Project Funding Discussion.
This item was added to the agenda again at the request of the board to discuss how we proceed with the Eisenhower Road project as far as funding. There are a couple options out there, maybe 2 or 3, but we're not quite at the point yet where we need to make a decision, but we are at the point we need to start having the discussion. Eisenhower Road and the debt that we've issued so far, the 2 projects, McIntyre and 147th, have been left for bid. We have funding via the debt we've issued. As we proceed with Eisenhower, we have funding for the right-of-way acquisition, we have funding to complete the design, and we probably can get partways into the utility relocation. It just kind of depends on the time. But to fund the project itself, we either have to issue more debt on the current timeline that it is, we would have to issue more debt, or we would have to delay the project until the funding came in from sales tax that we're collecting. At the last meeting before, when we were discussing this and when it was asked to be put on for a discussion item, the topic was the cost of the debt. So if we issue the debt, we have to understand that that's not just the cost of the project, but also the cost of the interest on that debt, which would be estimated to be roughly $4 million in interest on a project this size. So that's roughly 5 miles, am I right on that, about 5 miles of road?
Probably closer to 8.
Close to 8 miles of secondary roads that we could do.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood your question. Yeah.
4 to 8.
Okay, so the secondary roads would be done with that interest. So currently, the timeline, and I will let Sarah and David discuss the timeline further, but the bid for this project was not until the end of 2019 timeframe to go out for bids, middle of 2019.
Eisenhower's late 2018, wasn't it? Yeah.
For bids, okay. So the project wouldn't be completed until 2020 on its current time. So that's where we're at, and that's what we're looking for as we move forward. Again, the financing does not impact the design timeline. It does not impact the property acquisition timeline. It may impact some of the utility relocation. We won't know that until we actually get into it, and some of the numbers from the utility. But we're getting close, and that's where we wanted to talk about it. Now, if we don't issue debt, then we put a limitation on the number of secondary road projects that we want to discuss too. So what we've identified is if we did it as a pay-as-you-go, which Commissioner Klimke brought up, we would have to delay the project about 3 years. So instead of a completion of 2020, we would be looking closer to 2023, 2024 timeframe. We would still be able to fund about $500,000 a year towards secondary road projects each of those years using the sales tax that's coming in. If we don't, if we go do the debt, then obviously we could accelerate some of those secondary road projects. So that's the information that we have. Any questions or concerns?
Mr. Chairman, I got Public Works put out an RFP, RFQ for some road projects. Did you get that?
Yeah, we got that, I believe it was the 19th. It's in review right now and be coming to the board here in the next week or so.
Okay. You got a ballpark figure, how many millions?
To design or what?
Well, yeah.
The design for those 8 projects was around roughly $300,000 for the design.
Okay. And you got estimates on what it's cost to do the projects?
No, we don't have preliminary construction cost estimates yet on those.
Okay. All right.
Bob? I wanted to ask Janet a question. You talked about this squabble between, I call it a squabble, but between the city of Leavenworth and the county. Have you been approached and given a document on the lawsuit from the city?
The clerk's office has not been served a second time with the lawsuit.
So don't we have to wait, or shouldn't we wait till that is
Issued, and then you got 21 days.
Yeah. Before we go on, before we make a decision to go on, don't we think we need to wait till the court decisions come down?
Yeah, but that's about a different subject. That didn't have with the financing of the road. That has the intersection.
Yeah, the intersection, but that's part of the road.
Well, okay.
Well, and the other thing is, that for this year, and that's why we said it's not time to make the decision yet.
Right.
But it is time to start the discussion, and it will be, I think, will become a, really not necessarily the Eisenhower Road that will push this, but the secondary road projects that will push this, because those will be ready to go sooner than in a few weeks with those for design and whatnot. We kind of decide at that time what's our direction. Are we going to want to do $500,000 a year approach and do a pay-as-you-go on Eisenhower, or are we going to want to issue debt for Eisenhower and then use the funds to pay-as-you-go on these other secondary road projects? But the decision on Eisenhower wouldn't necessarily have to happen until right before we go out for bid. And so that would be towards the end of this year, as you said. So that's where we're at.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, when Commissioner Graber was on here and you and I, one of our main concerns was to push these 3 road projects along, to get them done as soon as possible. To me, pay-as-you-go is, yeah, Lloyd, it's a great concept. If we can get 8 miles of secondary roads paved for the interest that we could save is a great thing. But that's not going to do us any good on Eisenhower project. I mean, if we have to hold it
Well,
up.
it's going to kick these secondary roads down the
Right.
list again.
Right.
Where that's why we're in the problem we're in.
Right.
And that's why the commission at 2014-41, resolution not to exceed $40 million in bonding.
Yeah.
And we're at half 22 right now.
Right. So,
Well, I think one of the things to consider, Sarah, correct me, I'm sure if I mistake this, but the current roadway is adequate and capable of handling the current traffic on Eisenhower.
Correct.
So the delay to the project does not impede or impact the ability of that road to perform its function. So that was asked, I think Commissioner Clement asked me that, but the road as it is handling, it's not reaching capacity, that's not an issue.
so we good to go with the secondary roads and delay the Eisenhower project?
That, you could do that, that would be an option for you to do. And again, it's important to remember that is a significant amount of interest that you pay. And I know there's been discussion about, well, the cost of doing the project could go up due to inflation. Historical inflation on road projects does not come close to what the interest we would pay on the debt.
David or Janet, could you answer this question? What is the bonding rate right now? Do you have any ideas what it would be?
Interest rate?
Be
Right.
2 something, wouldn't it?
The last round there was, I think last week they put it out, there were only 2 bonds that were sold. 2.95 was the interest rate for those, but those were temporary notes, which usually get a much lower rate.
Right.
Because they're only for a
Short period of time.
3-year period.
Yeah.
So, but 2.95 to 3.5 would be expected, I think, if we made
You're going to comment, Dave, you did this.
Mark's correct. There had been an uptick in interest rates, but with respect to long-term bond, those figures are usable.
You know, and there's many factors that will enter in here. The road is adequate as it is for the future of traffic. The ingress and egress to the industrial park is not really being affected. The housing, I don't think is a significant factor in Leavenworth. Now, it might be in Baser, but in Leavenworth, it's not a factor. I can't remember what the figure was, but it was so low that it was unbelievable because the population is going down. School's going down. So, as we say, under discussion, we can make a decision on this, I guess, at budget time, or we can make a decision before. But it's, to me, I've heard this all my life, that, well, we want to get it now. We actually have to 2037 to build that road. 2037. We're going to get close to, last figure was approximately 97 million in Leavenworth County. Approximately, okay? Plus or minus. Leavenworth is going to get 50 million, plus or minus. Lansing is going to get 25 million, plus or minus. So, you know, there's a lot of participation here that can be done to help out the different programs. So, I think we can go ahead and go on and study it, but to me, I think it should be done on a cash flow. It's time for government to take in consideration what the average person has to do and to pay their bills. And even we as average people have gotten careless. But there's nobody can come in and take the county government away from them like the bank could if a business does a wrong deal. So, I don't know, is there anybody from the audience that would like to have a thought process? Yes, Mark, go ahead.
Paul, before Paul speaks, or can I ask, where are we at on design on that? Are we on hold on anything on Eisenhower? Design's not complete, is it?
It's, I'd say 95% complete. Right-of-way acquisition's nearing completion.
Okay. So it's still being designed for a roundabout?
No, that change order has not been brought before the board.
Okay. So we're on hold on that then right now?
Not on hold, we're just waiting for them to provide the change order.
We just haven't written the RBA to bring it up.
Okay.
Go ahead, Paul.
Mr. Chairman and Board, I appreciate you letting me speak. Just briefly, I certainly respect the board's decision. The board is funding this project and whatever the board feels is prudent use of those dollars. A couple thoughts on that. I think that looking at the Eisenhower Road improvements as merely a traffic conveyance is not the way we look at it. We look at it as a vision for growth. If you look at areas, we commonly get compared to Platte County, and something that is brought up a lot is their decision to bond sewer capacity into farmland, into rural areas. If you would have done that on a pay-as-you-go basis, I think you'd be chasing development. We're looking at this as a way to enhance the growth that's happening in that corridor of the city. The faster you can get that in, I think the more attractive and the better job you can do promoting that area of the county and of the city. This road project, I think, has already spurred growth down there. I'm not sure the stuff that has been planned would have been at the stage it is now without that road project. I think the vision of the city is to look forward, to have this road be one aspect of the growth that we have in the southwest part of our community. I would also mention that this helps the Lansing School District. A lot of anything south of Muncie will go to the Lansing School District. I don't know if they've taken a position on the pay-as-you-go versus bond funding, but I would assume that they want this done as quick as possible to help them build new homes that will help feed their schools. I think there was some expectation in the public that we try to get these going as quick as possible, but again, it's certainly the board's decision on when you want to go forward. But we look at this as the growth pattern of our city, and the faster that we can get this done, the faster we can continue working with developers, both commercial and residential, to get some projects, more projects that are already in the pipeline going in that part of the city. So we would urge you to move it as quick as possible. Of course, there are interest considerations and funding considerations, but the city of Leavenworth looks at this far beyond a traffic conveyance project as more of the Kickstarter of growth in that part of the city. So I appreciate your time, and any questions you have, I'd be happy to address.
I think the comparison to Platte County is good, except that they were extending services to an area that didn't have services before, which, because they had a lot of growth in that area, and they are forecasting growth. This is not an extension of services, this is an improvement of services. To use the comparison to Platte County would be similar as if we were building a new road somewhere where there was no road currently.
I sort of disagree with that a little bit. I think that going from the road that's there to a 4-lane with sidewalks, not only sidewalks, but actually an 8-foot trail and traffic lights represents something more than just a road upgrade. I think it is a welcome mat for development in that part of the city, something that a 2-lane county road doesn't really provide. So yes, one individual car traveling on that road will travel the same way it would on a new road, but I think if you look at what it will make and transform that part of the city and part of the county into, I think you could make an argument that it's not swapping one road for a better road, but it's really laying the foundation for development in that whole area, City of Leavenworth, City of Lansing, and also in the county.
Bob, did you have anything? I have a little discussion, Paul. It's traffic control, not traffic lights. Okay. we've discussed, no trucks. Trucks are still there. Does everybody know why? Do you know why there are no trucks allowed? You know what the concept was?
For no trucks on.
Why there were no trucks allowed?
On 20th Street?
Yeah.
It's not our approved truck route.
Well, no, what created the non-truck route? I'll help you.
Sure.
The over
The
9%
incline
grade?
of the road.
Mhm.
But they're there all the time, and I don't think that is necessarily good. I promoted something, I want to go south of 20th Street. You get that map,
I've seen it.
because most of the people going to work don't want to go through Lansing, and it's not hurting Lansing's economy to have them drive down and go around Lansing if they go straight south and come in on some of the road down on the south end. So, you know, we can go back and forth with speed limits. Somebody told me, well, we'll reduce the speed limit. No. If you're not going to enforce them, there's no reason for it. There's no reason to have a speed limit if you're not going to enforce it, except it's on this certain day. So speed limits aren't going to help Eisenhower. Where's the major traffic coming and going? 20th Street. That's where the major traffic is. So there's so many things. The houses that have been built in the last, what, 5 years? Something's going to turn that around. Muncie might turn it around. There's 1,600 housing plots on Muncie. I don't know how many there are of Shrine on Shawn Lee. Ungodly amount of houses can be built up there in our school district, not Lansing School District. Lansing has no concept, in my opinion. They have a lot of thoughts how they're going to handle their school road problems right at the school. It would have been nice to have been able to help them with that, but we weren't entitled to that input because there was another road more important. And the importance, if we're looking at safety, is the Lansing School District, we're talking about Lansing, around the school. So, and you know, bridges north of the school on Muncie. So, you know, I would hope that we come out of this studying and finalization of what we're doing with what is good for the whole community. I'm not interested in storage box getting an extension of a 4-lane road, but I am interested in 20th Street being allowed to have trucks, and they looking, can we do that because of the pitch of the road, because that's why it was thrown out there. But the main person that pushed that is no longer with us, so we don't have to worry about that now. This is hard, okay? So there are a lot of things that we can do to help the program and to make it very beneficial for the whole community. We don't do anything for just Livermore County. We have all these cities that we do things for. So, and all this money that was brought in that said it was for that it was sold because of the road projects. No. It wasn't sold because of the road projects. I bet you we take a vote right now. How many wanted Eisenhower? I don't know, did we really need Eisenhower? And I'm the main one on Eisenhower. The rest of them don't count. I was first business out there. So I think this can go forward, but I'd like to see it do it in a better economical direction.
I would want to point out one more thing. I wouldn't want the board to think that Eisenhower Road is the only area that we're working on. You mentioned Muncie. We have preliminary design on Muncie. We have preliminary design on a lot of areas in the city. I'm just speaking today about the road that you're talking about. We are interested in growing the Leavenworth School District. I meet monthly with the superintendent, and he says, can you get me more houses? And we are working on that, I promise you that. As far, again, as I just want to stress that In my experience, not as extensive as maybe that you have, if you do things up front the right way and you get them going, then more stuff can happen behind it. You're not always telling businesses, if you wait until 2023, we're going to have a road here, if we have this. The more stuff happens, I think you'll see with our hotel development, more stuff that's complete then spurs more development. So we just look at getting things done as quickly as we can, but again, we certainly respect the county paying the freight on this, but we would hope that you would consider moving this along as quickly as possible.
You know, you got, the rest of these cities, excuse me, need to appreciate 4 motels. I mean,
Right.
that's brought an income in that's unbelievable, and they're reaping a benefit off of Leavenworth.
The hotels and the equally so, the loft apartments, I think that maybe
Yes.
goes a little bit unreported, that they are absolutely doing well, with many in the works right now. Capacity studies confirm that the need is there to keep that from going across the river or south of us.
Yep. There's a lot of benefits happening.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else have any thoughts? Anybody in the party?
Well, Mr. Chairman, what about the, is there any benefit in doing Eisenhower in 2 phases? Like we do it past 20th Street, past the intersection, and then do it to County Road 5 later in the 2nd phase?
Well, you know, Greg mentioned take it to the branches. Well, there's not much development past 20th Street. You know, the branch is coming in and out. They have 2 entrances. So I don't know if there's any advantage. You talk about a lower bond issue, we still have to do a bond issue. So
we included in the information that the branches is expected to about double in size with plans coming in this spring. I can't speak of anything west of that. It starts getting into the county area.
Right.
That is more of a future development, but I don't think too far down the road, for sure.
how about 2 miles?
2
miles around the city. Anybody else? Okay, we thank staff, we thank people. Yes, Glenn, you wanted to?
Glenberry, District 1. I listened to both sides of this for months, and what I'm taking of it, some people think we should do the roads on a cash basis, collect the dollars before we spend them. That's a good idea to a point, but you're talking about a huge project. If we wait until you collect those tax dollars to spend them, that'd be like me waiting to buy a house that costs $200,000 till I'm 55, 60 years old. When I'm 25, thinking about buying a house. Where am I going to live till I get to be 55 or 60 to save that money up to buy that house with cash? You're spending money to try and save money. And sometimes you work against yourself when you think that way. The road project on Eisenhower, in my opinion, I travel it quite a bit. There are key times of the day when that intersection at 20th and Eisenhower gets a lot of traffic. Sure does. Not most of the time, it don't. And truck traffic, you're not going to see, to my opinion, you're not going to see a lot of trucks going down 20th Street, even if you opened it up to traffic, just because of it dumps out on the south or on the north end of it to 2-lane road again. So for a truck driver to think that's a skirt around town, that don't work for them. Now they've opened up 4th Street, you go right down through the heart of town, and it's 4 lanes of road to work on. But 20th Street, we're in a dispute with Leavenworth City right now. To my knowledge, they're fighting us because me as a taxpayer of the county, I don't live in Leavenworth City, but they're fighting with you guys over a stop sign or a stop light. I think there's a variance of opinion on what that really meant in the verbiage of their agreement that was signed a couple years ago. They don't want a roundabout. They've said that before, because they don't want to deal with the upkeep of it after it's built. I kind of agree with that. I don't agree with parts of it. But they want a light put in there now. So if you're going to delay that road project, that means you're going to delay putting a light in there. You need to do something, because when you're sitting on 20th Street wanting to make a left-hand turn onto Eisenhower heading to the east, you're looking dead in the sun in the morning. You're looking at the sun in the evening. If you are on 20th making that turn, everybody that makes a right-hand turn onto 20th off Eisenhower doesn't use a blinker. We understand that because they're probably on their cell phone, texting or whatever. That's our contention. Everybody's got these cell devices that distracts them, and that's what they're doing. I don't think that's going to change in the next few years while we're waiting to collect the money to build that road. We said we'd build it. I think we build it. I think we put the whatever stoplight, stop sign, I don't care what you put in there, something's got to happen, because the traffic going on to 20th, you don't trust whether they're using a turn signal or not. And if you pull out there in front of somebody who ain't turning, they're running pretty hot through there. Slowing it down, well, we're trying to get them out of town. Well, I want to slow down, I want to hurry up and get going. But I think that we need to address that, get that light in there, and if it means doing Eisenhower, splitting that project up to get past 20th, then do that. That's first I heard of that today, but that sounds like that's a step forward. Won't cost near as much, but we need to get a light in that corner. And if we have the people of Leavenworth, the government of Leavenworth fighting us about it, then do what they want. If it costs us less money, then do what they want. It's going to be their baby when we're done with it. They're going to get to maintain it, whatever we do, whether it's a light, a roundabout, whatever. So I say you'd end their lawsuit right now. They got no grounds for it if you agree to put a light in there and get it done. But that's just my opinion.
How do you move forward? Was there something you want to say? Because I was going to say, we can put 4 stop signs out there right now.
Right.
Let's put 4 stop signs out there.
Don't care what the city of Leavenworth does, they can stick a traffic cop out there with a whistle as far as I'm concerned. I don't care.
But it has to be enforced. The traffic comes from the north and from the east. The traffic isn't coming from the west. So to move traffic, you have to get 20th Street moving south and Eisenhower moving north. The amount of traffic coming from west is not the significant factor. Is not the significant factor. So we put 4 stop signs out there right now, like Lansing has at their school stop, and resolve the problem. Now, you're still going to have wrecks. Isn't going to resolve that problem because City of Leavenworth put a couple stop signs there on 2nd Street that nobody was used to. And just for Glenn's information, all of 4th Street is not, you may think it's 4-lane, but you ask the truckers. They don't like going 4th Street. But that's beside the point. That's what the city road is, and that's the street they go. So I think, you know, we can continue forward with the thought processes. I may move here in the near future, put 4 stop signs out there. I think we own the land at the 4 corners. Now, if the city doesn't want to allow us to put a warning sign out there that says stop ahead, that's their option. And we'll go forward with that thought process in the near future, and we can discuss. We're not at the point where we have to finance it right now, and we were talking about bids in 2018. Well, I've seen how bids go, so it'll probably be 2019, but that's all right. That's the way bids go. Finish in 23, 24. That's That's a good thought process, and by then we can see what the city of Leavenworth's doing with Muncie, with Shawnee. They got water up there, they got sewer can come down that hill, I'll guarantee you. But that is, I can't think of anything else we need to discuss on Eisenhower funding. Can you?
No, I just wish we spent more time on the secondary roads discussing than as we do on Eisenhower.
Agree with that. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Unless you have something else.
I did. One, especially David and Sarah kind of reminded me of it when they were here. I'd like to see a work session on the sewer districts so we kind of know where we're at on how many years are left on lagoons and or what our plans are, stuff like that. Kind of like what you're working on in Ginger Creek now, or if we got any other sewer districts that we need to be looking at, or lagoon systems and stuff like that, with KDHE reports, stuff like that.
The permitting on all of our lagoons were just renewed within the last year or two. I mean, we're current, we're up to date.
And how many years are they renewed for?
I'd have to look. I'd have to look and get back to you on that.
Okay.
Just for your reference, Paul, that was something that I had mentioned in an earlier meeting. Let's get a sewer plan for the whole county. A whole plan for the whole county.
So does that mean you'll support a strategic plan for the whole county?
That'd be great.
Well, I mean, if we had a strategic plan for the county, we would know where that sewer would be,
where it's going to flow,
where it's going to go, and if we can get away with 2 or 1, and that would identify our development.
Right. Nothing wrong with strategic plan.
Okay, then you will support it.
Yeah.
Okay. And how are we going to fund it?
Now, I was going to say, that was my next question. Who's going to fund it?
Well, we'll fund it, but how?
Well,
You're going to have to bond it.
Well,
yeah.
Is it?
Well, if we have to bond it, then we don't do it.
No, we're not talking about bonding it.
Okay. But that's beside the point. I would support it. So that's
okay. So we're throwing it out there for people to find funding for a strategic plan for the whole county.
For the whole county.
So if somebody brings us, hey, we got some money here we could use, you would support that?
Yeah, and that includes the 2 miles
outside the city limits or within?
Outside the city limits.
Well, if we would include that, perhaps the cities would participate.
We don't know. They'll come forward, maybe.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right.
Okay. I don't have anything else. Bob, you don't?
Just, well, once again, while we got Dave and Sarah here again, how are we on the secondary road projects like 179th and 182nd, the ones we were going to do this year?
179th, the utility companies are presently out there working, power and telephone. I'm actually going to be bringing an RBA to advertise for bid for that, hopefully by advertising at the beginning of March. 182nd, that's a discussion we need to have as far as the bonding. That may be affected by whether or not the board chooses to bond secondary roads or not.
What about the...
I thought we had the money for that.
I did too.
That's what I thought. But we do have bridge money that we put over on the bridge that can be done on 182nd.
That list of projects that was brought in, I think it was October, those were to be funded with sales tax money.
Oh, I thought 182nd when you had the money to transfer 800,000.
From the RIF and TIF money.
179th and 182nd are both in the same township.
Uh-huh.
So the RIF funds were being used on 179th, and there may be a little left over, but I doubt there'll be enough left over to construct the whole project.
Then we need to do something with that 800,000.
We need to move it back off the bridge. 182nd needs to be done.
Well, we're still having some internal discussions.
Okay, you bring that forward before we do the bridge. Set out a plan here and spend $800,000 on a bridge. Because the commitment for years have been made to 182nd. Wasn't made to.
Well, the commitment was made last year to 182nd.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm just honoring somebody. Yeah.
I think we have a funding source. I still need to have a few more internal discussions.
Very good.
It'll come back to the board here soon.
All right, thank you. Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Been moved and seconded to adjourn. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.